So Sean Marks, who is the GM of the Brooklyn Nets, had his State of the Union conference where he was talking to the media, basically talking about the possibility and the future of the Brooklyn Nets and what happened during the course of this current season, and talked about a lot of things. And the one thing he talked about is about the Brooklyn Nets. They're going to start reevaluating and making sure that the players that they select are not selfish, that are available, that's going to work with one another, and to build a better future as far as what they have on the roster. And they're going to reevaluate players that they already have on their roster as possible options as far as resigning players from their roster and explore free agency. He also talked about the future, about draft picks and things of that nature. Basically, if you was following what Sean Marks was saying, and Sean Marks left a lot of meat on the bone as far as the possibility of what the Brooklyn Nets are going to be looking like moving forward next season. I feel like Sean Marks is still committed to Steve Nash. For all those who had expectations of Steve Nash being fired by the Brooklyn Nets, I thought it was a foregone conclusion. Steve Nash would possibly be let go by the Brooklyn Nets. But judging this conference and judging what he said in this conference, it looked like there are no immediate plans as far as removing Steve Nash as the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Now, Steve Nash, like it or not, love it or hate it, and to me, Steve Nash got a low letter grade in my personal opinion, but it looks like Steve Nash, a lot of things Sean Marks likes about Steve Nash, he approve of, and they're good friends. They used to play on the same team many moons ago. That helps. But Sean Marks is in no hurry or a rush to get rid of Steve Nash. Now, I will say this. If Steve Nash don't execute and get this team going deep into the playoffs, I feel like next year is going to be his final year as head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, because now heads are going to really roll because the owner of the Brooklyn Nets is not impressed. He's not happy with the success of what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets. They have a high payroll and he has high expectations. And the Brooklyn Nets are in a similar boat, in a similar situation with the Los Angeles Lakers as far as going above and beyond the salary cap, having a high payroll. But when you look at the results, if you talk about the Lakers, they didn't even make the playoffs. The Brooklyn Nets did go into the play-in tournament, won there, and then played against the Boston Celtics and got swept by the Boston Celtics. Now, a lot of people are going to take that as, well, what do you think is, severely great? Not going to the playoffs or going to the playoffs and getting swept? That's a personal opinion. That's a personal choice. That's a troll and a fan's reality. But the reality is the Brooklyn Nets organization, the ownership, as well as Sean Marks, is not too pleased with the results they got for this season. But as far as Steve Nash goes, this is his final year as the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. If you also paid attention to the conference, he talked about the future of Kyrie Irving. From my understanding is Sean Marks is allowing Kyrie Irving to dictate his own future as far as if he wants to exit out of that player option and explore free agency. He's going to allow basically I'm just paraphrasing, As far as Kyrie Irving go, uh, they're not going. They they pulled the long term contract from Kyrie Irving last year, and it looked like they haven't been negotiating as far as extending Kyrie Irving with the Brooklyn Nets. Sean Marks is looking at it as, well, we're going to allow Kyrie Irving to do him. We'll allow him to explore free agency and see what teams would bid for Kyrie Irving's services. Um, there's a few teams that have the salary cap room to sign Kyrie Irving to a big time contract, possibly max contract, but those teams are nowhere near as far as contending for playoffs or even making it to the NBA Finals. The Orlando Magic, the San Antonio Spurs, the Detroit Pistons. There are a lot of teams that are in similar situations as those three teams I just mentioned, that they're not nowhere near being competitive or nowhere near making the playoffs or even making it to the NBA Finals. And Kyrie Irving, even though I talked about this in multiple occasions, Kyrie Irving has a priority list, and I just don't think basketball is high on his priority list. It's on the priority list, but it's not number 1, 2, or 3. And an individual such as Kyrie Irving, it would not shock nor surprise me if he, takes the player option. Well, decline the player, has just become a free agent. Roll the dice on the table, and see what he can do as a free agent. I feel like the San Antonio Spurs, they probably would not touch Kyrie Irving or give him big time money or even a max contract. But teams that are desperate, they would probably take the services of a Kyrie Irving, like the Orlando Magic, the Detroit Pistons. And there's other teams similar in that same boat that would max Kyrie Irving out. And the only reason why they would do that is to sell tickets and to have butts in seats. And if Kyrie Irving is happy with just playing basketball that way, fine. If you look at what Kyrie Irving has done in the past couple of years, even with when he was a player for the Boston Celtics, he have took numerous amount of days off. There's a stat that says that Kyrie Irving has missed 54% of games as a member of the Brooklyn Nets. Let that sink in. 54% Kyrie Irving has missed games as a member of the Brooklyn Nets. But he still wants to be treated and rewarded max money, but he's not playing max number of games, and that's very concerning to the Brooklyn Nets organization and Sean Marks. So they're saying to themselves, we'll just allow Kyrie Irving to bet on himself. If there's a sucker out there that will pay Kyrie Irving max money, even in a signing trade, the Brooklyn Nets are willing to sign Kyrie Irving to max money if they got an understanding and agreement to another team that would love to take the services of Kyrie Irving in a signing trade where they get draft picks and players. I feel like Sean Marks has moved on from Kyrie Irving. The only reason why I feel Kyrie Irving is still a member of the Brooklyn Nets thus far is because of his relationship with Kevin Durant, even though Kevin Durant said in a recent article he's allowing the ownership to and the GM, Sean Marks, the GM and the ownership of the Brooklyn Nets, he's allowing them to do their job. And if it means trading Kyrie Irving, that's what it means. Kevin Durant is not like LeBron James, who wants to be an influencer in the organization as far as making moves and things of that nature. Kevin Durant just simply wants to play, and he's allowing ownership and the GM to put the best possible roster that they are able to do, and he's just going to play alongside of it. Kevin Durant has already signed his extension over the summer last year with his victory in USA basketball. So they already got Kevin Durant locked up as far as this year and next year. Now, when it comes to the future of Ben Simmons, however, there have been multiple reports that suggest that Ben Simmons may not be a member of the Brooklyn Nets much longer. And Rich Paul's plan of moving Ben Simmons out west. I've done plenty of live streams, plenty of videos to tell you guys, and I'm just going to paraphrase. Ben Simmons is a California guy. All his friends is from California. He adopted the California lifestyle. He loves everything about the West Coast. And to Ben Simmons, he really not concerned which team he gets traded to as long as he goes west, young man. If the Lakers are somehow able to trade for the services of Ben Simmons, he would love to be a member of the Los Angeles Lakers and put on the purple and gold. Now, he did have a relationship with Magic Johnson, where Magic Johnson was training with him over the summer. And even though Magic Johnson was training him over the summer, still, Magic Johnson was recruiting low-key and planting seeds in Ben Simmons' head that, you're a California guy, you should really think about playing out west, particularly for the Los Angeles Lakers. Those are the type of low-profile, low-profile conversations that they were having. And at that particular time, Magic Johnson was still working for the Los Angeles Lakers as in a GM capacity. Okay, so I always told you guys that Ben Simmons was going to find somehow, some way to go back out west. And like I told you guys in my videos and in my live streams, it really doesn't matter if it's the Los Angeles Lakers, the Sacramento Kings, the LA Clippers, the Golden State Warriors. He wants to go out west. He's a California guy that has a California lifestyle. He's addicted to the California lifestyle. So that's where ultimately he wants to go to. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to sign a long-term contract with the Philadelphia 76ers, but in the back of the mind, he wants to be traded from Philadelphia to go out west. Okay. And, the Philadelphia organization figured that out, and that's why there was really a hard on Ben Simmons as far as fining him for every game that he missed and taking some of his money back and things of that nature. Even though he's going to go to court, and there's a high possibility he can get all of his money back, or the majority of the money that was fined from the Philadelphia 76ers. Now he has receipts of, I really was injured. I had a back injury. I also was dealing with mental health. I was seeing a psychiatrist. So when you got all those receipts saying, hey, look, there was no physical or mental way I could possibly play for the Philadelphia 76ers, and they just fined me, even though and I'm pretty sure the Philadelphia 76ers are going to say in court that, they had no knowledge of all the things that Ben Simmons was saying. I'm pretty sure Ben Simmons is going to say, no, I gave you guys what I told you guys what was going on with me. It's going to be a he said, she said, or in better case, he said. But as far as Ben Simmons, and that's the reason why they traded him to Brooklyn. And I told you guys a couple of days ago, normally when you do trades, it's either one person won or both teams won. And I felt like when they traded Ben Simmons to Brooklyn, I was looking at the longevity of that trade. And I thought to myself, Brooklyn longevity got somebody who's still in his prime that can help that team. And at that particular time, they had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant advance and go far. And that's what I was basing my opinion on. I felt like the 76ers was getting short-term success, but I felt like James Harden was getting a little bit older, and he's not a he was unable to do the things he was capable of doing when he used to play for the Houston Rockets, and I felt like the Brooklyn Nets won. I feel like when you do these trades, there's never a scenario where both teams lose in the trade. And now, hindsight being 2020, I feel like both of these could possibly lose in this trade. Philadelphia 76ers are going to be forced to max out James Harden, and James Harden isn't the same James Harden like he was when he was with the Houston Rockets. And they're going to be forced to get rid of Doc Rivers. And there's a high possibility of Mike D'Antoni coaching the Philadelphia 76ers. He's going to bring his logic, his understanding, and his style to the Philadelphia 76ers. And it's not going to be a rewarding type of system for Joel Embiid. And trust me, I'm promising you guys this. The day they hire Mike D'Antoni and max James Harden will be the day that Joel Embiid is going to be unhappy. All right. And we already saw when Joel Embiid is unhappy, you don't get the best performance out of him. He was sulking over the fact that the Joker won MVP of the season. Now, we can have the conversation of, well, who do you think could have won MVP for the season? I would have either voted for Joel Embiid or LeBron James. But I didn't understand why they picked Joker, even though he won it last year. I can understand why he won it last year, but not this year. So you got that scenario going, and there's a possibility that the Brooklyn Nets are going to be without Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. There's going to be a possibility where that possibility could be their future moving forward. Kyrie Irving, a couple of things. Now, it could be very beneficial to the Brooklyn Nets if Kyrie Irving comes to his senses and say, you know what, this year's going to be different. I'm going to play the most games I have ever played as a member of the Brooklyn Nets. I'm going to have a complete and different mindset and belief than I had when I first joined the Brooklyn Nets, and I'm going to be a we guy instead of an I guy. There's always that possibility, all right? And Ben Simmons can wake up one morning and say, you know what? I'm with the Brooklyn Nets. They believed in me. Let me start playing for the Brooklyn Nets, be highly productive, help this team win the championship. There's always scenarios like that, but there are also other scenarios in this multi-universe of madness. Kyrie Irving can just wake up and just say, you know what? I'm gonna test the theory. I'm just going to opt out and explore free agency and see who comes knocking at my door and want to sign me for a max contract. And Ben Simmons can wake up one morning and go, you know what? I really do want to go out west. That's my desire. That's my want. That's my need. And I'm just going to go west, young man. There's always those possibilities. And the future, still, at the end of the day, and I did a live stream on this, I feel like the future for the Brooklyn Nets have options and solutions awaiting for them, depending on what direction these two players want to go to. I feel like the Brooklyn Nets have more options than the Los Angeles Lakers. But you guys can check out that live stream, and I'm not even going to paraphrase. But anyway, it's your boy, the host with the most. I do not brag or boast. Please support the live stream. Please support the movement. I will see you guys later. Deuces.